Today, we're talking about the mentality of a winner. There are certain mentalities that leave us poor. There are certain mentalities that leave us broke. We can't be doing the same thing we did 10 years ago and expect to be in business. Be consistent at what you do. Jack of all trades does not work. You need to know yourself, then know your enemy. You do not look at what you do from your view. Look at it from the view of the customer. The 21st century business is that business built on customer relationship.
I'm a communications officer for LBS, but I'm actually a broadcaster by profession. When I first heard about the masterclass, I'm a person who naturally loves to learn. Acquiring knowledge is actually one of my hobbies, as strange as it may sound. When you hear the term masterclass, you think, I'm going to be able to master something. I hope at least to be able to master my thoughts on business, strategy, planning, and possibly the mindset of a winner.
My name is Adedoku Ndiemi. I'm a teacher by profession. My passion is in education. I heard about Hexavian on the radio. I find some of the concepts that they come up with very interesting and all. And that was the reason why I came here. It's more about building a brand. That's what this is about, and I'm hoping I'll be able to learn new ways and techniques to achieve that goal.
The law of process and continuous improvement. The law of continuous improvement says, true business does not grow in a day. Business grows daily. True business does not grow in a day. They grow daily. It's called from the word Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese term. If you've ever done project management or quality assurance trainings, you can't do that without talking about Kaizen, continuous improvement. Kai for continuous, Zen for improvement. Powerful assets to have. It's the fact that people who succeed are people who are continuously improving. It's not a process. Business is not an event. It's a process. Business is not a destination. It's a journey. It's ongoing. Ask yourself, what do I start? What do I stop? And what do I keep doing? If what you've done yesterday still looks big to you today, that means you've not done much today. Have you ever met those kind of people who tell you their greatest achievement is from 3 years ago? People who buy cars 3 years after, they still talk about their new car. You need to be continuous. Now you understand why they'll talk. Forbes will be talking to Dangote about his achievement. He's talking about what he wants to achieve. He's off that, like the words of Jay-Z would say. He's off that. He's off that. He's not even looking at that anymore. He's off that. He keeps chasing. Some people spend so much time looking at the rear view mirror. The rear view sees your back. You need to look at the screen. You don't need to look. You stop looking at the mirror and you look in the window. The mirror is backwards. It sees your reflection. The mirror looks inward. It looks to the front. You need to be a visionary person. If possible, put all your future tense in your present tense. The way you speak sometimes affects your business. The picture you create. Charles B. will always tell me something in the studio that when it was Inspiration FM, that he worked with a lot of young people. Charles B is one of those guys who's been able to build. He gives young people a chance. Anybody who knows that will know that that's true. And it's not because I know on a personal level, is the fact that it's true. Chazbi will tell you that the first time, I think it was Wana Wana, was on the show. I mean, this is a young girl who's supposed to talk about life. I mean, what do you really know as a young person about life? And then he would talk, and then he would almost forget, and he would tell, and Chazbi would tell her that, look, if you're going to do this right, every time you sit in this studio and the mic is on, just assume that you're plus 10 years your age. It's mental. Just always picture. So if you're 27, you talk like you're 37. You look like you're 37. You act like you're 37. What that would have done for you is the fact that it would have created it would have invoked the future into the present. It would have made you comfortable with a strong vision of where you're going to. It's a powerful asset to have. It's an extremely powerful asset to have in business. So it's called continuous improvement. The next law, please. Yeah, the law of management. I think we'll take out, okay, this is just where I'd want us to just get a bit practical. Can you please flip this chart, please? The law of management, right? Please, I know this to just understand this concept right. I want to talk about it more in project management, right? Now, management is just how you can manage. Management is how you can manage. Management is about three things. Three things, right? I've said it several ways. People, process, and system. Right? How you can manage these three things. People, process, and systems. The process here also involves resources. Right? Management is how you can articulate all of them. The manager's role in 21st century has changed. The manager is someone who inspires, who organizes. One of the greatest assets you can have is the asset of a motivational asset. Like the fact that when you are around, people are compelled to do things. That's when I realized that almost all the great leaders that have walked the face of this earth in the last 20 years were great orators. Ever heard Obama talk? Ever heard Steve Jobs talk? Do you want to talk about Mandela that just passed? You now understand why the man without shoes that govern us has the quality of leadership that he has. Every time I listen to CNN, I listen to him talk, it's almost embarrassing. And Chimamanda, we're on camera, be careful. Chimamanda Adichie said that, like, it's the fact that the quality of our leaders, the speech, she was saying it because obviously she's an expert in literature, but everybody needs to have that skill. Because look, it's one thing to have it, it's another thing to communicate it. Communication is powerful. The 21st century customer, the 21st century consumer, the 21st century manager, what they all have in common is spend 80% of their time communicating. If you own a business, think about all the time you have in one day. Realize that you spend so much time in communication. In project management, they tell you that the average project manager spends 87% of the time communicating. If you're building a house, you're communicating to the client, the owner of the house, you communicate to bricklayers, you're communicating to planners, you communicate to a lot of stuff. You spend time on the phone. Why do you think MTN makes so much money? Because everybody does communication. It's the fact that we need to be communicators. We need to have that asset. So it's an asset to have in management. In project management, right, there are certain things you must be skilled in. You must be skilled in managing integration, managing scope, managing time, managing cost, managing risk, managing communications, managing procurement. Most importantly, managing people. Think about it. Is there any business you do that doesn't have subsets? Whether you're into production, that's even one of the most subsets, because you deal with suppliers, you deal with demand, you deal with people that assemble, you deal with this. Even as a consultant, even having trainings, there are integrations. There's a cameraman who has to make sure that this is that. There's still you. There's so many subsets. You need to learn to integrate all of them. Yeah, so back to the realities, you need to be an integrator. It's the fact that you need to understand integration. You need to learn the small aspect. You're the one who connects people. You're Nokia. Connecting people, that's what you're supposed to do. You should be integrated. You should understand integration. You should understand scope. Always make sure, because there's so many things that derail people in business. Even your success can be your greatest enemy. Like they will say, success is the greatest enemy of success. The kind of success you can get today, that is the exact kind of success you should pray not to have. You know that kind of success that makes a great footballer get signed to Man U and he gets his sign-on fee, and that's the time he remembers that he loves champagne and he loves women and he loves nightlife, and then he does cigarettes and then he starts to do drugs and then his career comes crumbling down. It's the kind of success you can have that you lose the core of your team. You're too far off because you can't relate to them anymore. You look down on them. It's the exact kind of success that ruins your business. The exact kind of success that you have, that you lose your focus because you got a contract out of the scope of what you do. It's lack of scope management that's making Nokia go down strongly by the day. Just a few years ago, Nokia owned 87% of the market share. Today, it's gone down so much. BlackBerry is almost a no-no. The few countries that still use BlackBerry a lot is Nigeria. That's why Nigeria is one of the biggest markets. BlackBerry is almost done in most countries. It's because you concentrate more on your core. They're trying to get it back. The core of BlackBerry is BBM. They almost lost that. So you see now they're almost outsourcing. They want to concentrate on only BBM. They're trying to get back the scope of what they are, the core of what they are. You need to ask yourself, what's your core? At that point, you know your purpose. Purpose is relative to core. Do you get? So as management is technical, I talked about integration and scope. They're just fancy words for purpose. Stay within your scope. If you say you want to do this, right? If you have a goal in the company, whether it's a daily goal, which is called operations, or it's a yearly goal, vision statement, or whatever you want to achieve for this year, they all should be smart. They all should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound. S for specific, M for measure, A for attainable, R for realistic, T for time-bound. It's called scope management. Manage these things. Make sure they're specific. Stay within the confinement of what you want to achieve. So sometimes we get very excited about the class and want to have humors, but then the reality is there's still certain things we should all leave this class with. If there's anything you're not, if you leave this class now, I want you to understand that the average customer is crazy, is busy, and is lazy. If you understand that, it's easy. That could help your customer service. If you understand people are too crazy, you create a customer service that creates value for their craziness. People hate to come to uptight. Some people who do uptight services like consultancy, financial services, too uptight, right? People don't find it attractive. How can you make yours attractive? How can you make your office look like it's a bar? Is it possible to have a golf course if that's your market? If you do a luxury brand where your clients are the kind of guys who like to play golf, can you simulate a small golf course? The technology makes these kind of things easy. What GT Bank has done, people hate to go to the banks. GT Bank created an ambience that makes you almost want to go to the bank. Everybody still hates to go to the bank still, but I can manage to go to a GT Bank. I can go to GT Bank head office. Which bank has a chandelier in a bank? Do you understand the concept? Which bank, if you say GT Bank without the logo of the GT Bank outside, you still know it's a GT Bank building. Right or wrong? Yes. Every GT Bank building, you know it's a GT Bank building. The only is out of the box. Some of them looks like it's falling. That's strategy. It's people who understand that their customers are crazy. They're looking at a particular demography of customers. So what they've done is to create the concept. So these are scope management. I'm going to explain scope. So that's one thing I want you to learn. So all I want you to do is now create strategy. Since you know these boxes, this is what I expect from this class. Everything we outline, right? There's a notes, right, on everything you've learned. Then there's application to you. So you now start to build on them. You don't need 9 hours, really, to succeed. Sometimes it's just one word, it's one statement that governs the whole of the century. Sometimes one word, sometimes one person inspires. That's why I said in every generation, there's only a few people that would, it's few, it's less is more. It's the thing, but you can still stay here for another 2 years, every day in class, and still your life would not change that much, depending on who the recipient is and how you can apply it. You have to be proactive. Those are things we want to take out of this class. It's called scope management. You need to learn to manage time. Learn to manage time. Do not procrastinate. The biggest enemy of what you're trying to do is that you were trying to do it for the last 5 years. And if you're not careful, in the next 5 years, you still try to be doing it without starting. Start, and better tools will be found on its way. The funny thing is there's so many things we want to do, right? But we don't start. So we never can tell how far we can go. Sometimes we're too afraid. I want to do this, no capital. Have you tried starting with the little that you have? and see how the capital will come. You need to learn to manage costs. I see businesses that have everything apart from bookkeeping. You don't business it 3-4 years. You spend money without taking records. You just spend money anyhow. And then when the business starts crumbling, you're looking for an investor. Which sane investor would invest in a business that does not have records? That does not know how much you make, no financial statements? How do you write a business plan without financials? How can you even go to business without understanding basic of cost accounting? At least learn to balance your accounts. I bet you when Peter jumped into water, maybe what he did, the Bible will not tell us that part. It might be that he walked on the shallow parts of the water. In worst case, if he had tried to sink, he would not die. Okay, that's just sarcastic. But you need to understand the concept that you take risk, then you create mitigations for those risks. That's what smart people do. That's what business people should do. You should understand risk management. Risk management is not the term for only people who work in banks. Every business has its own risk. The risk could be your competitor coming. Omo not being able to manage their risk gave birth to clean knocking them out. Jake not being able to create sachet bleach affected the output. It's the fact that you need to learn risk, you need to learn communications. I spoke about that. You need to learn people. After management, by common sense, you know it should be leadership, because leadership is one of the greatest assets we can have. The strength of a team is dependent on the quality of the leader. Businesses will always take the characteristics of the owner. Your core, what you're trying to create in your business, is dependent on the person who started or who leads through that business. If you're going to even have people who are average, put them as executors. Create thinkers that are leaders. In any system, whether family, whether school, whether business, whether government, when the leadership is bad, everything comes crumbling down. If a family is not doing very well, blame it on the parents. Simple. If a country is not doing well, blame it on the leaders. Simple. If your business is not doing well, blame it on your leadership. It's a harsh thing to say, but it's most realistic thing. Everybody has to be a leader. Leadership is like creativity is a gift, but you can also learn leadership. It's the fact that you use I, and you replace I with we. The people that you listen to them talk, they use so much I in their language that you just see the selfishness in what they do. I started, what do I pay you for? You know that term that people say in companies, what do I pay you for? That's one of the words you should never use for your colleagues. What do I pay you for? Of course, they know what you pay them for. That conversation is the exact conversation why they treat your business like it's your business. It's not their business. It's not our business. It's your business. So they're just hanging there till they can get a better job and they will leave. And it comes from how we start businesses. We start businesses with our children to take over those businesses. 90% of the time, it never happens. Dangote's kids, as far as you know, might be interested in horses. I think one of the guys who saw that really well was Chukwu Merije, I think. He was trying to explain the fact that in life, we create all these empires for our kids. Our kids can wake up to choose to be whatever they want to be. And while he was saying it, his child was a karate. He's one of the greatest karate, what's it called now? He's always, almost in all the Olympics, he would always represent Nigeria in taekwondo. So do you get you need to create a system of succession, a system of our leadership is easy to understand. Leadership is putting yourself last. That's what Mandela is. That's what he is. That's why Obama will always say that Africa and Nigerian businesses, African businesses and African governments has too many powerful people. And that's the problem. Everybody is doing there's so much fight. We have so much problem in this country. It's not the letter between Obasanjo and Jonathan that is important. There's so much there's so much fight, there's so much pride, there's so much you versus me, there's so much versus that will leave the most important things. You need to push that yourself, put it last. It's the most important thing to do. It's the most important thing to do. Another thing we need to consider in leadership is the fact that leadership is nothing more than influence. That's what John Maxwell will always tell us. Leadership is influence. You need to learn to influence people. That's why if you talk about leaders, if you're doing leaders, you always put Osama bin Laden as a leader. Because he was a leader. It's just that he happened to be a negative one. It's not easy to get people to strap bombs and die. If it was easy, if you apply that concept in your business, you would do extremely very well. It's powerful. It's something that everyone needs to be. We need to have leaders. They teach us everything in school. They don't teach us about leadership in school. That's really sad. The law of marketing and strategy. I think that this is a class, this is one of the reasons why you're here. So let's talk about it when we've had lunch, and we can talk about marketing, because really, you can have all the fantastic products and you're the only one that knows about that product. You have them all in the shelf. In the case of the pastor keeps preaching to the choir members and the sinners are not in church. You need to know your market, identify your market, provide for your market, sell your market.